Peter Windsor has more on that.
Since its inception last year, GP2 has successfully established itself as a junior version of Formula One. Same venues, same race dates, and the same big names behind it, Renault and Bridgestone, for example. In 2006, however, things are slightly different. Rather than being just a place for young talent to show what they can do in front of the Grand Prix environment, it has become, if you like, a relaunch for ex-Formula One drivers. We've had 3 former Formula One drivers winning GP2 races this year: Giorgio Pantano, Timo Glock, and Jimmy Bruni. And guess who's on the pole for the Hockenheim race here? None other than Jimmy Bruni. Yeah. GP2 could get to the point where we have maybe 50% of the grid ex-Formula One drivers. Is that a good thing? Is that a good way for GP2 to be going?
Yeah, of course. You know, it's always good when one category show that the drivers racing here, they can go in Formula One and do good.
What were your feelings in terms of being a Formula One driver, coming back to a junior Formula? How did that feel?
A little bit. The first 2-3 months was a little bit not depressing, but it was a little bit. You know, I don't have to be here because it's not my place to be. So I said, okay, well, it's good category. Lots of drivers that will come here. Even Giorgio Pantano last year, he came from Formula One to GP2. So I said, well, why not? You know, just try to do the best I can.
What is your view about former Formula One drivers racing in GP2?
Yeah, I think my view it's well intelligent because they do only Formula One just before, and after they did nothing, but they come back in GP2 because the level is really high, and so to a lot of competitivity in the championship. So I think this is great for them and for us, I think, because we need to show our talent, and I think this is really good because Pantano, this is fast driver, Glock and Bruni, so this is great for us and for them, I think so.
In terms of Pantano, Bruni and Glock, they've done Formula One and now they're coming back into your category. How do you feel about that?
That's okay. I don't really think it makes a difference because GP2 is GP2. It's a little bit different to Formula One.
In NASCAR in America, they've got the Busch Series, which is just below Nextel Cup. And some of the Busch guys are getting kind of antsy that the Nextel drivers are racing in Busch and doing well in their category. You don't feel that at all?
No, not at all. I think they should stop moaning and get on with it. And just try and beat them.
And there he is, Gianmaria Bruni, 3rd oldest driver in the field at age 25. Giorgio Pantano is 27, and Hiroki Yoshimoto of Japan is the oldest driver in the field without Formula One experience. He is 26. Grid is being cleared. We'll be back to set the starting grid and turn them loose at Hockenheim, the GP2 Championship. Welcome back to the Hockenheim ring. Charlie Whiting in the booth to the left. We'll send the field away momentarily in the Saturday main event of the GP2 weekend. You saw Formula One star Giancarlo Fisichella, who is a team owner in this series. And Jimmy Bruni needs to tell the rest of the field it's time to go.
Absolutely.
The pole sitter rockets off.
The other one that's not colorblind.
On his formation lap. With that, let's take a look at the starting grid for today's race. All Formula One veterans on the front row. Gianmaria Bruni of Italy for Trident Racing has his 3rd pole of the season. Excuse me, his 3rd career pole, while Timo Glock, native son here in Germany with iSport International, will be next to him.
Row 2, Nelson Piquet Jr. desperate to claw himself back to the top of the points and next to the 2nd iSport International car of Venezuela, Ernesto Vizo, regaining his early season qualifying form.
Moving back to row 3, Giorgio Pantano of Italy with FMS, another Formula One veteran, next to Frank Pereira of France for the DAMS team, who has only finished in the points once this season.
In 7th spot, Lucas de Grassi Durango, next to the current points leader, Lewis Hamilton, in the first of the ART cars. His worst qualifying in any series since here in 2004.
He is definitely the man everyone is watching. Back on row 5, Andreas Zuber of Austria for Trident, and Alex Primat of France, out-qualified by his teammate Lewis Hamilton in 7 of the 8 weekends thus far this year.
Freddie Monfordini fills out 11th spot in the 2nd DAMS machine alongside the racing engineering car of Adam Carroll from Northern Ireland, whose career has been a bit spotty this year.
On row 7, Nicolas Lapierre, injured bones in his back way back in May at Monaco. The Frenchman for Arden International is back on the scene alongside Japanese driver Hiroki Yoshimoto for BCN.
Row 8, the 2nd BCN of Luca Filippi alongside the first Dave Price car, Clivio Piccioni. Dave Price Racing have just lost their major sponsor, #1 driver.
On row 9, Farouz Fauzi of Malaysia for Supernova starts alongside Alex Negrão of Brazil in the second PK sports car.
In 19th position, young German Michael Ammermüller, 6th in points in the second Arden International car alongside Felix Portero in the second Campos Racing vehicle.
Moving to row 11, Sergio Hernandez of Spain for Durango starts alongside his countryman Javier Villa driving for the racing engineering team.
Row 12, the second Dave Price car of newcomer Vitaly Petrov alongside the massively successful Jason Hinchey in the second FMS International machine.
And on row 13, Adrian Valles had a big crash this weekend for Campos Racing. He starts on the final row alongside Argentine Jose Maria Lopez in Supernova, who was actually on pole for this race 2 weeks ago at Manicourt in France. And that was an eventful weekend. A poor one for points leader Lewis Hamilton, who finds himself buried back on row 4 here in Germany. A lot of work to do. This is the long form race of the weekend, followed on Sunday by the sprint race. We'll have highlights of that later on. We'll be back to Hockenheim. Welcome back to a very warm and muggy but slightly overcast day at the Hockenheim ring for the opening race of 2 on the GP2 weekend. 4 rounds to go, including this weekend in Germany. The championship stretch drive has begun. The field of 26 forming up. Gianmaria Bruni starts alongside fellow Formula One veteran Timo Glock on the front row.
Both have also raced over in America in Champ Car and other assorted races, so a lot of experience there on the front row. And of course, Jimmy Bruni, one of the older drivers here.
The field is under starters' orders. Here come the lights. Good getaway by Bruni. We see some shuffling around at the back. Oh,
a couple of
Ernesto Vizo going around the outside. No, he won't get up into turn 1. Giorgio Pantano got a great start. We got somebody off.
Nope.
2 cars off at turn 1.
Oh, Bruni locking up.
All the cars on the same Bridgestone tires, all using the same Renault 4-liter engine.
And all using the same Bridgestone tires. And of course,
someone lost a part of the nose. PK Jr. attacking Gianmaria Bruni. He's going to try the outside. That won't work. Giorgio Pantano into 3rd. Timo Glock is 4th. Looks like Lewis Hamilton may be dicing with his teammate from ART Grand Prix.
Oh, they are absolutely alongside each other. Whoa. Oh. Look at these side by side, the 2 ART cars, absolutely side by side, the two corners there.
Tell whose car that wing came off of. Hamilton gets by Premat. There's Hamilton with the yellow helmet. Premat stuck behind the Repsol car.
Lewis, is that Carroll? Adam Carroll?
Carroll took a look down under. Oh, is that Yoshimoto? Montfort. Not sure who that was. Looking down the inside, it was Frank Pereira, who always qualifies well, but as I mentioned as we went over the starting grid, has only 1 points finish thus far this season.
Well, we're coming around to complete lap 1, so we should see the injured cars start to peel into the pit lane to have that.
There's Monfardini being pushed off.
Another look at the start. Keep your eye on the right column on the screen. You'll see a couple of cars stall, very slow getting away. One waving their hands, but the rest of the field do get away, but there's a lot of frantic action. Remember, these tires cold. Well, there's one of the wing damage right there.
One of the Supernova cars goes around. We noticed a gap on the grid.
That's Lopez spinning. He was on the pole last week. And, of course, Ammermüller, one of the stalling cars, which, of course, is very disappointing for him racing in front of a home crowd.
Yeah,
there's that wing going off there.
Another look from above.
That'll do it.
Oh, boy. What a frustration to be out at the first corner.
Oh, it's terrible.
So just how close that was. Michael Ammermüller.
Not one of the stallers. I said he was one of the stallers. He was actually got around one of the stallers. This is the second Arden International car. Arden, of course, had such a stellar career in F3000 and GP2 last year.
Just a look at some of the contact.
Hamilton and Premat alongside each other there.
Right. There's Pereira.
Pereira's lost
his
the
wing.
main plane off the wing there. There it is, being dragged to the side of the track. We haven't seen him dart into the pitch yet. So the camera's keeping
Nice
covering
souvenir.
the action.
We go back to live action. Timo Glock trying Giorgio Pantano for third. The order is Jimmy Bruni, Nelson Piquet Jr., who has fast lap of the race thus far. There's Zuber in the pits to get some damage repaired. Two other cars coming in as well. Lopez with Supernova. Bruni, Piquet, the Giorgio Pantano third. Glock is fourth. Ernesto Vizo fifth. Then Lewis Hamilton, Adam Carroll, Alex Primat, Hiroki Yoshimoto, and Michael Ammermuller, the top 10.
And of course, those guys we just saw in the pits all changing tyres as well, because in this race there is a mandatory tyre stop required as well.
You see the running order. If you're not familiar with the GP2 championship, 2 races each weekend, with the exception of the Monaco Formula One weekend when there is only one. Nelson Piquet Jr. makes an early bid for the bonus point that goes to the driver setting fast lap of the race. They use the Formula One style scoring method on Saturday, which is the long form race, about 125 miles with, as David Hobbs mentioned, a mandatory pit stop. On Sunday, they run a sprint race, no pit stop required, and only 6 drivers rather than the top 8 will receive points. The top 8 finishers on Saturday are inverted to fill the top 8 positions on Sunday's grid. Everyone else lines up in order of finish from Saturday's main event.
Luca Filippi, you just saw exiting the pit lane there, having to receive some attention. Bruni now set in the fastest lap. Lap 3:25.629.
Bruni hasn't scored any points in a race since he won the race at Imola back in the spring, but he has scored a lot of bonus points for pole and fastest lap. So, funny old season he's having.
You recall we talked about Formula One drivers in the series. It's a bit like the NASCAR
Glock
argument
and
about...
Pantano there. Oh! Pantano gets punched off. Oh, he'll be mad at that. Glock gave him a little bit of a nudge.
There's one former
Glock,
Formula One driver
Ernesto
to another.
Vizo coming under severe pressure from Hamilton there. Frank Pereira chased that wing that we saw being dragged away.
Yeah,
Steve.
and the carbon cover over the top here. You see the springs and the roll bars on display, because the design of the car, where the 15 is on the nose, it actually hangs over the nose section here. It makes it very difficult for the mechanics to change the nose without taking that panel off. But you're not allowed to modify the cars. I'm sure the teams would love to make that a separate panel.
That's what took Pantano off. No contact that you could see, but Pantano decided discretion was the better part of valor. There he goes.
No, I think it was. You're right. I don't think it did touch, but he just gave himself room, which is a very wise move.
As I was mentioning, Formula One drivers in this series becoming a bit of an issue, like NASCAR Nextel Cup drivers running in the Busch series. We had Formula One drivers starting first, second, and fifth. They currently run first, third, and fourth in the race. Having said that,
well, of course, in the old days, way back in the 60s and 70s, when they had Formula 2, Formula 1 drivers were driving Formula 2, and of course, there was always this, does it help the Formula 2 drivers, young guys coming up, because they've got a known quantity to race against, and a very good driver, or is it really just giving all the money and points to people with more experience? Kind of a bit of a hard one to call that. Pantano dropped back a bit from Glock, then Ernesto Vizo, Glock's teammate, struggling to hold off Lewis Hamilton.
The more damage
wing
to
damage.
the wing.
Is that Piquet Jr.? No, it's Andy Negrao.
Yeah. The problem is, the more successful series become and the more money that's involved, and the sponsors put more money in, it gives more money to the team owners to employ better drivers. What's the answer to that?
Yeah.
Pick your side. Having said all that about Formula One drivers in the series, though, none figured in last year's championship, which was won by Nico Rosberg, currently driving for Williams Cosworth in Formula One. Second place, second place, Heikki Kovalainen is a test driver in Formula One, and third place finisher Scott Speed is a rookie in Formula One this year as well with Scuderia Toro Rosso. So perhaps it all evens out.
These cars are talking about the Formula One drivers, and Bob, you've said it before, they're very similar to Formula One cars in their design. The wheelbase and the track between the tires is the same, pretty much the same dimensions to an F1 car. They're a little bit heavier, like 170 pounds heavier than an F1 car. all in all, very closely matched. In terms of size of the car, which of course gives the drivers a better idea of what a Formula One car is going to feel like once they jump into it,
Right.
should they be fortunate enough to do so.
There's Lewis Hamilton leading the championship by 14 points coming in, but coming in off a rough weekend in France 2 weeks ago. There's his father, originally from Trinidad. Lewis Hamilton hoping to become the first Caribbean-born driver to climb into the ranks of Formula One. He's typically chaotic on the opening laps, typically competitive. Oh, who's gone around? Is that, yes, Hiroki Hashimoto, the front man for the Japanese rock band and third oldest driver in the series, who apparently has lost the power.
He was running 8th.
Which was an improvement because he started back in 14th. He was working his way forward. Now we got a problem.
That's McGraw's car, yeah. Oh, a lot of smoke coming from the right front.
Why hasn't he stopped?
I think the wings jammed under it.
Absolutely.
Well, yeah, but we knew that 2 laps ago.
Yeah, you're right. But why hasn't
What
he
is he
come
doing?
into the pits?
That's crazy.
Here he
Well,
comes.
Oh,
1 lap too late.
Absolutely. Is that Yashimoto going way wide and spinning back across the front? Is that Clivio Piccioni?
He tried to snatch neutral, I think, and you just saw the car judder. And I don't think he managed to snatch neutral before the lump gave out. And there's that
McGraw getting the work
change.
done.
There's that front cover coming up again, Steve. That seems like a bit of a poor design.
Yeah,
feature,
it's
doesn't
hard.
it?
You want to take a hacksaw to it, don't you?
Because you know. Here we go. This is Hamilton on Viso as they come into the stadium. Is he going to go down the inside into the Sachs curve? He does, yeah. No,
He
that's
does.
not the Sachs curve. They haven't got to the stadium yet.
Well, Viso gave him room. That was well done.
That was in turn 9. So now Lewis Hamilton will be setting off. This is into the stadium.
Right. Let's see how quickly Hamilton clears Viso and moves on Pantano up ahead in 4th.
Hamilton has displayed great overtaking techniques this year. He really has. In France, he said he had a pretty dodgy weekend, which he did. He started the sprint race on Sunday back in, 19th, and still finished 5th or 6th. So he really does overtake a lot of people.
He's been supported by the McLaren Mercedes operation since he was 11 years old, racing karts. And he is the man of the moment, expected to be in Formula One next year. Interesting to see Directive on the side pods of that car. It's a Japanese company that jumped into motorsport sponsorship at the highest levels in a very big way. But we understand that team, after a management rethink, has decided to pull out of basically all of their sponsorships. They're still on the McLaren Formula One cars, but they are off of the Dave Price Racing cars in GP2 and Hiroki Hashimoto's BCN. I believe that lady we just had a look at was also holding the umbrella over Nelson Piquet Jr.'s car on the grid. I wonder if that's his mom.
His mom looks like his mom.
I believe so. Michael Ammermuller started the season with a bang, has gone off the boils since then. He finds himself in 8th place. There's your top 4. We'll be back to Hockenheim and GP2 in a moment. Welcome back to the Hockenheim ring. Bob Varsha, David Hobbs, Steve Matchett, Peter Windsor with you for the stretch drive in the GP2 championship. 2nd year for this championship. Taking a look at Jose Maria Lopez. Oh, just an artsy-craftsy shot of some very brightly glowing brake discs. Notice the caliper on the back of the wheel rim, not down the bottom like the Formula One teams.
And also notice these cars are not festooned with all those little flip-ups and flicks on the end of all the end plates and around the bodywork, and that's what cars need to be. They need to get rid of some of that stuff in Formula One if they want to make overtaking more simple. Because that aerodynamic downforce just kills the car behind you.
Yeah, what these guys have got that the Formula One cars haven't got, of course, is that they're allowed to use that underbody styling. Get a good look at the side of the car.
Which helps for close racing, doesn't it?
Absolutely it does, yeah, because they're not so susceptible. Right underneath on the floor, can't really pick up a good shot to higher. You'll see there's a white rubbing strip right along the bottom of the floor, which is designed to give some ground effect styling to the car. It greatly improves the aerodynamic efficiency on the underside of the car, so they don't need so many flip-ups on the top. But you're not alone, David, what your thoughts are about Formula One overtaking and aerodynamics, that's for sure.
Of
can't say I agree with you, obviously, as a mechanic. But
Well, I'm sure that the FIA will be listening to this commentary intently to try and pick up some shards of information they could use in a positive manner.
if you look how at the underside of these cars in comparison to Formula One, you'll see the floor of the car runs absolutely on the track. There is no ground clearance at all, which seals the underside of the bodywork to create that ground effect styling. On an F1 car, you see there's like a 50 mil, about 2.5, 3 inches of clearance to prevent that.
Nelson Piquet Jr., of course, currently second in the standings to Lewis Hamilton, only 14 points behind. So obviously every point he can grab over Hamilton today is important.
Bit of a lurch there.
Yeah.
In the next to the last corner. Onto the short front straightaway, and then a very fast turn one, leading to another short straight, and then a very tight right-hander. That's Andreas Zuber in. That'll be his second stop. He was dragging his wing around for some time.
Now look at this. Lewis Hamilton has wound in Pantano, but I think he's going to find Pantano a bit more difficult to get around than Ernesto Visa, but we'll see, because Hamilton is very, very good at overtaking. What?
Wow.
Sandy Negrão fast lap.
That's Piquet's teammate, so he's got fresh Bridgestones, at least 2 of them.
Must be a fault in timing.
He is unofficially the 5th different driver to set fast lap in this race. Keep in mind, there is a championship point involved there. There he is, Sandy Negrão, teammate to Nelson Piquet Jr., who runs second.
Now that's what they call locking up. It's a technical term, meaning that the brakes are more powerful than the grip of the tires on the road. It causes smoke.
I think they must have wound the brake bias all the way to the front. And got it the wrong way around there, dude.
That's smoke coming from a layer of molten rubber between the tire and the road. It makes it a bit hard to turn. Andreas Zuber is done. He retires from 23rd place. Pretty dramatic opening few laps of this race. Lucas de Grassi never made the grid. I'm not sure exactly what happened there. Ferdinando Monfordini is done.
And Zuber, unfortunately for him, qualified 9th, so he had a good day coming up. But whoa!
Oh, that's a replay of what happened to him in that next to last corner we saw moments ago.
Wow, that was a pretty well, that just shows what lack of downforce will do for you.
You really have to drive the race car. This is Michael Ammermuller in 8th place. Credit the Austrian. He started back in German. He was back in 19th at the start.
And he's had a good run so far. At the beginning of the year, he got some really good results, but sort of gone off the boil a bit, as you said earlier on, but having a good run today, which he wants in front of his home crowd. There you see him.
Livio Piccioni coming up from behind. Alex Premat, meanwhile, has set fast lap, so add another name to that list of fast lappers. Who was that going slowly? The order is Bruni, Piquet Jr., Glock, Pantano, Lewis Hamilton, who is just 3/10 behind Pantano for 4th, and Ernesto Vizo, Adam Carroll, Michael Ammermuller, Livio Piccioni, and Sergio Hernandez.
And Hamilton needs to get around Pantano, who is now 5 seconds adrift of Timo Glock, so he needs to get around him.
Track is 2.8 miles around. Oh boy. Everybody lurching through that corner. Lewis Hamilton is now in the pits, making his mandatory stop. That's probably a good plan.
And he probably realized he's going to get stuck behind
Pantano.
So he might as well make his change now and get himself in a bit of free traffic.
Get his name in that fast lap column.
There's Premat with the fastest lap so far. I think it's a good idea, actually, giving points for pole and fastest lap in a race. I think that would encourage people to do more in the Formula One races, personally. Used to be you've got a point for those positions.
Once again, this is common in GP2, changing rears only.
Get that wheel before someone finds you.
Rear tires only, meaning those fronts are going to go the distance.
Yeah, it's something we see over and over again, these guys preferring to leave the front tires on. I guess that, they're short of crew members enough that to change the rears and then come along to change the fronts would probably cost them more time than what they think they're going to lose on track by leaving them on. But we have seen time and time again that the fronts do tend to go off.
There you see Hamilton in 12th, but ahead of some drivers who have yet to stop.
That said, around here, certainly the rear tyres take an incredible loading, a lot of lateral load around here going through that stadium section.
Here comes Pantano. It'll be interesting to see where Hamilton is when he comes out.
This is going to be very critical. I think that was a quicker stop than Hamilton.
Now, that was an unusual pit.
Yeah.
We're just talking about only changing the rears or only changing the fronts. Those guys only changed the left tyre on the rear and the front. Left the right tyres on.
Unfortunately, German television is not going to show us where Pantano comes out relative to Hamilton. I agree with you, David. I think Pantano's stop was quicker, so he probably got out ahead of his rival.
Which is not what Hamilton wants.
Absolutely not. There's Gianmaria, or Jimmy Bruni of Italy, who's led since the lights went out. He has yet to make his stop. Sorry, David.
I know. I was going to say, is he putting away a bit? But I think he is, because PK is now being closed in on by Timo Glock and Ernesto Vizo. Obviously, all three of these guys have got to stop. All four of them got to stop.
Jimmy Bruni led all the way from pole in round 2 at San Marino. Oh, Hamilton did get around Pantano.
Well, I said it all along.
Yes.
Well, I thought that Hamilton's stop was quicker. Didn't I say it?
Yeah, I'm sure you did, David.
Oh, man. I think that was Nelson Piquet Jr. with a big slide through turn 1. You look off in the distance there, you saw the village of Hockenheim, where this great race course once went before the Autobahn chopped off the bottom loop of the racetrack. Still a very heroic place to race. We'll be back. Welcome back to the Hockenheim ring in the Saturday main event on the GP2 championship. There's Adam Carroll, who moments ago pitted from 5th place. And he comes back out in 11th. There's Andy Negrão running a lap down after he had to pit to replace the nose on his PK Sports machine. Whoa. That was kind of wicked. There's a look at the current running order. Note, none of those drivers have pitted. They will all have to make one stop. And we'll see whether that plays into the hands of those guys. Hamilton, Pantano, and Carroll in 9th, 10th, and 11th. The highest running cars that have already made their stops.
Now, the key is here, can Lewis Hamilton and Pantano, having had those stops, set some really quick laps to pull that gap back between them and the front runners so that they can maybe get past them when they make their stop.
On board with Timo Glock, racing in front of his home fans. That's Nelson Piquet Jr. ahead of him. Glock's going to have to get his stop in shortly. I think Piquet's holding him up a little bit.
Well, for instance, our leader's last lap was a 26.0. Whoa!
Oh, it's a chance for Glock. He gets by easily. Sandy Negrão comes up on his team leader, but he is a lap down.
Yeah.
So what do you do now if you're Timo Glock? Do you change that pit strategy or stay with it? Looks like Piquet Jr. is back on the game and wants to attack.
Well, Piquet Jr., from what we saw a couple of laps ago, could do with some new rear tires anyway.
Well, actually, Glock is pulling away from him here. Got a much better launch off those corners.
Maybe the setup on...
Whoa!
That left rear on his is definitely looking a bit on the edgy side. There you see it from the air. Timo Glock going by underneath with tons of room, managing to hold a very tight line, which would certainly indicate that his setup is slightly better than Nelson's.
I wonder if Nelson maybe just took too much wing off. We've seen him sliding around all day.
Yeah, well, there we saw his rear tire locking up too, which you don't often see.
Okay, Jimmy Bruni pits for his mandatory stop. Glock will take over the race lead. Piquet Jr. also stops. Pretty good stop for Ernesto Vizo is now pitting as Piquet Jr. pulls out. His father, the 3-time world champion, is here this weekend. Bruni's got a problem. But he still comes out ahead of Piquet.
Just managed to get out ahead of Piquet, but there was a problem getting the tire located, wasn't there? The rim onto the hub of the left rear.
This is Vizo.
Why does the mechanic do that? Push on the back of the car? It's to help the clutch, just to ease the clutch away.
Piquet locking up on his brand new car. Look at this, right behind him is Lewis Hamilton. Right behind him now.
Distinctive 8-into-1 exhaust system gives these cars a distinctive engine note. Piquet Jr. trying to go around one of them. Oh, that's Alex Premat attacking one of the Ardent cars. Premat just having a terrible day. You see Bruni now, the highest placed of the cars that have stopped. From the cable cam, that's Lewis Hamilton on the right in the white car. Trying to get around Portero, lest Piquet Jr. get away.
Well, he needs to get around him ASAP.
There's his dad.
And his dad's singing exactly the same thing.
Owns his own information technology company in Britain, has devoted his adult life to his son's racing career.
Michael Ammermuller was up to P2 there, you know, which, considering he started 19th, is pretty good. So if they can make a quick stop here, he could come out in around about 7th or 8th spot.
A lot of brake dust coming out the rear tyres, which we've seen. I'm surprised we haven't seen Glock yet. He's still to pit, isn't he? He hasn't come into the pits yet. And those tyres look pretty ropey on Glock's car a couple of laps ago.
Looks like Portero has pitted as the Campos team stacks their pit stop. Maybe a bit of a dubious strategy. Like the Formula One teams, you have but one pit box for your two cars.
And these guys just haven't got the crew members, have they? Unlike an F1 team with about 1,000 people on hand if they need them.
Throw 16 or 20 guys at a pit stop.
That's right. These guys just don't have the personnel.
Aboard with the race leader who heads for the pit lane. Hammermuller in second also stopped, so Jimmy Bruni should inherit the race lead.
Poor old Glock, I think he left this stop a lap, maybe 2 laps too late. You could see he was struggling to get the car under control coming down into the pit lane. The grip has certainly gone away from these tyres.
Good pit entry.
Now this is very, very important. This is the lead. That was a good stop.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, good stop. Don't speed
now,
the pit lane. Where's Jimmy Bruni?
Second car in line, perhaps? If so, Glock just hammered him. Wow. Jimmy Bruni, meanwhile, turns in fast lap of the race, but I don't think it's going to do him much good. That's him. So Glock takes the race lead. Oh, I wonder if Bruni was balked by that slower car getting through the infield, the stadium section. And he had a bad pit stop.
That pit stop's what set that all off. Yeah.
So Bruni is second behind Timo Glock, which will delight the German crowd. There you see the order. Hamilton Jr., Piquet Jr. third, Hamilton in fourth. And that has championship implications because Piquet Jr. came in second in points. As you mentioned, David, he's going to want to grab everything he can off of Hamilton.
Yeah.
So that actually worked out very well for Glock. I was thinking those tyres would have gone off a couple of laps before and should have pitted, but he timed that perfectly.
Nelson Piquet Jr. manages to maintain that gap between himself and Hamilton. There's Piquet, and Hamilton is just a couple of seconds behind him, so not making up much ground on Piquet, which is his key man.
Javier Villa has pitted and back out from 8th. Piquet Jr. Only one car now that has not made it his required stop. Well, no, Nicolas Lapierre has not pitted, nor has Farouz Fauzi, but they are well back in the order. Jason Tahinchi. Oh, Piquet Jr. will be docked a drive-through penalty.
Oh dear.
Speeding in the pit lane, perhaps?
Boy, that's... Not good for Piquet Jr. because having set fastest lap and by being in front of Hamilton, he would have picked up 3 points over Hamilton of the 14 deficit he's got, but now he's going to have that drive through.
This is a battle for the lead right here. Bruni and Glock. Bruni down the outside.
No. That's in the hairpin. Glock slides over right in front of his rival. That's Piquet Jr. back there in third and Hamilton in fourth. So the top four running nose to tail. On board, Michael Ammermuller.
Well, Bruni's having another look.
Yeah. Bruni looks to have the quicker car at this stage.
A couple of Formula One veterans using every weapon in the arsenal. Oh, Ammermuller Just understeers. I thought he was going to take out Piccioni.
Yeah.
Well, you can dive down the inside, but you've got to make it stick.
So he loses 2 spots on the road. So Hernandez moves up. Boy, oh boy. And I didn't see any lockup at all. He just understeered. To make the order, Glock, Bruni, Piquet Jr., Hamilton, Pantano, who's nearly 4 seconds behind Hamilton in 5th. Then Adam Carroll, Ernesto Vizo, Jose Maria Lopez, Jason Tehinchi, and Clivio Piccioni. Tehinchi has yet to stop from 9th. Hammermuller 11th. Hernandez make that Hammermuller will drop to 12th.
I think that's Tehinchi going in there, which is not exactly a massive change in the race format.
Tehinchi makes his stop. This is FM.
Oh, whoa, whoa, whoa. Well overshot the pit box.
This is a replay of the Hammermuller Piccioni Tehinchi incident. And then Hernandez will come whomping by everybody. There he is, left of your screen. Another fast lap, but he has yet to make his drive-through.
Boy, he's got his car set up right there, hasn't he? 2 fastest laps in a row there.
Yeah. 3 laps to comply with this regulation to come in for this drive-through penalty now.
Yeah. Now don't speed.
That's right.
Here.
Don't do it again.
Careful to get that tear off out of the way of the airbox intake.
Oh, on the radiator.
And meanwhile, cars go flashing by.
Oh, dear.
These drive-throughs can be so painful, so costly.
So he'll come out in 7th, but of course in front of him will be Adam Carroll, who's not going to be easy to get past. So it's Giorgio Pantano.
Lost 3 spots to Pantano, Carroll, and Vizo.
Glock still leading there. 1 stop. Bruni 1 stop. Hamilton 1 stop.
Lopez up into 8th. That means if he stays there, he'll be on pole for Saturday's sprint race. Excuse me, Sunday's sprint race.
This
Carroll and Vizo.
Adam Carroll and Vizo here battling mightily for 6th. Of course, today the points count down to 10th like they do in Formula 1, 8th like they do in Formula 1. And tomorrow, of course, the grid will be reversed. The top 8 in today's race will whoever's 8th today will line up in pole tomorrow.
Into the stadium section. It was added as part of the deal to bring the Autobahn through around Hockenheim and cut off the bottom of the racetrack. A lot of history at Hockenheim. We'll be back to talk about it. Welcome back to Hockenheim in the opening race of the GP2 weekend in Germany. This is former race leader Timo Glock, who has been called in for a drive-through penalty for speeding in the pit lane. The same penalty issued to Nelson Piquet Jr., who dropped from 4th to 7th just a few laps ago. So the order right now is Jimmy Bruni, Lewis Hamilton up into 2nd, and he has just set fast lap. Well, it's just been taken away by Nelson Piquet Jr. Timo Glock drops back. Giorgio Pantano. Glock comes out in 4th behind Giorgio Pantano. Adam Carroll is 5th. Ernesto Vizo 6th. Piquet Jr. 7th. And Javier Lopez.
And this is Piquet trying to get around Ernesto Vizo.
Jose Maria Lopez, I should say.
But he's on the outside. It's going to be difficult to make this work.
Really, all you have to do all you have to do is keep your man alongside, and he's got to take the long way around.
Boy, he's quick.
Is he going to try it in here?
Yeah, this is a good spot.
Yes, he is.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
Oh, I thought he was going straight off.
I did.
Jeez.
That was a nice
Good
pass.
pass.
That's where Jensen Button did just that to Alonso at that very corner, what, 3 years ago?
Yeah, terrific Formula 1 battle in the German Grand Prix. We'll see that
Which
later
we're hoping to see later on today.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's gotten a lot grayer since Formula One qualifying.
It was very sunny then. It's definitely gone grey, although the temperature's still pretty high.
There's Piquet's pit board. P6, that would be due to Glock doing his drive-through, but Glock came back out in 4th. Why are they showing Piquet Jr.? It must be, no, he is now shown in 6th. Behind Adam Carroll, ahead of Ernesto Viso.
Yeah, he just passed Ernesto Viso at that, on that little left-hander there.
Oh,
but
that's
look
who
at
went
this.
around.
This is Bruni, now only 1.5 seconds ahead of Lewis Hamilton. So Jimmy Bruni, who's done some Formula One, got some Formula One experience under his belt, under pressure now from Lewis Hamilton.
Credit Vitaly Petrov of Russia.
Looks like Nelson Piquet going past. Is he going past Adam Carroll?
Carroll? Yes, he is. That would put him into 5th if he can make it stick. Oh my gosh.
In the same place.
Yep, here's where he got Viso.
Tried it once. Can he make it work
Well,
again?
Carroll.
Adam Carroll comes back.
Here's the same move. I mentioned Vitaly Petrov of Russia on his first GP2 weekend. Hadn't sat in one of these cars before Friday's first practice. Currently running in 15th. Not a bad job.
Nice. No, if you've never sat in one of these cars, that's very good indeed.
Coming up from 23rd.
Yeah, from 23rd on the grid.
That was Nicholas Todt we just saw there, son of John Todt from Ferrari, who's running the ART team.
Ooh, PK, he's trying his best to keep right on the tail. But boy, you know, we're talking about the downforce effect and the underbody effect. You still will lose air wash over the front wing if you get too close.
Well, he's getting fluid on that camera, too, from somewhere.
I don't know if it's from Adam Carroll,
That's
maybe.
what I'm wondering. Boy, the old apple doesn't fall far from the tree. The son of a 3-time world champion. He only knows one way to race, and that is attack. And it has crossed him up on a couple of occasions this year. Oh, and the hairpin. Now hold him wide, hold him wide. Oh,
Be fair.
Now he's got
okay, right-hander coming up. Wow, Carroll inches ahead. Okay, can
now can he get him down the inside? This
patented
left-hander.
inside move.
Oh,
You bet.
Carroll locks up.
Oh, go on.
Where's Carroll?
Yeah, he's got him.
Yeah, buddy.
Ah, that's
Now
real
here
wheels,
comes
wheels stuff.
Viso. He take advantage? No, not close enough.
Adam Carroll will be kicking himself on that.
Yeah.
But obviously, Piquet Jr.'s got a great car setup. His car is going very, very well today. There's no doubt about it.
Yep.
Turning in quick laps.
The order is Bruni, Hamilton, Pantano, Glock, Carroll, Piquet Jr. Whoops, Piquet Jr. Carroll, Viso, Lopez, Ammermuller, and Piccioni. Glock adds another fast lap. Well, I can't recall a race where we've seen the fast lap bandied about so much.
No.
A 24.430 from Glock.
Glock with 2 pit stops, including a drive-through penalty, is running 4th. The same for Piquet Jr. in 5th. Could be the fastest guys on the track today. But Bruni is the leader. We'll be back.
The ultimate 2-screen experience has arrived.
Welcome back. 12 laps remaining of 40 that made up the opening round of the GP2 championship on the Hockenheim German Grand Prix weekend. Bob Varsha, Steve Matchett, David Hobbs, and Peter Windsor with you, watching the stars of Formula One's future. And no one more than that man, Lewis Hamilton, in 2nd place, the points leader by 14 over Nelson Piquet Jr. coming in. No doubt a future Formula One driver. The question is, when and with which team? Ron Dennis from McLaren, who has supported the young Trinidadian since he was a very young kart racer, says he's hesitant to stick Lewis Hamilton right into a McLaren Mercedes seat. I think he's probably underestimating the young driver's skills a little bit.
Well, I read that thing where there's all this psychology guys saying, well, it sometimes works, sometimes doesn't. I think with Hamilton it might work, but on the other hand, if he does get beaten soundly, it might sort of knock the stuffing out of him a bit. And of course, Hamilton says, my main thing is to win this championship this year, which he's well on his way to doing at the moment. Now giving the leader, Jimmy Bruni, a very hard time. Bruni got held up badly on the last lap by a back marker, which allowed Hamilton to catch right up to him. Now the thing is, can he get by him as Bruni reels in yet another slower car? I think it's Tahinchi.
Alex Premat has made another pit stop. And he is languishing back in 19th. Might be slapping on a new set of tires and looking for that fast lap championship point, since he has no hope of getting up into the top 8.
Well, Hamilton's been steadily chipping away at the time, hasn't he? Taking off the off 10th of a second lap after lap. It was 0.9, 0.7, 0.5, and he's closing in. There it is now, 0.510.
Getting back to your point about Hamilton, though, David, you were the one who pointed out he seems to be incredibly strong-minded. I mean, he's the guy who came up to Ron Dennis as a young lad and said, "I'm going to drive for you someday."
Yeah.
And he's a great passer on track.
I think Tahinci blocked him there a bit.
Nicholas Todt looking on. He needs a shave.
Jimmy Bruni got by Tahinci there on that lapping maneuver, but Tahinci just caught Hamilton out of a bad moment.
Amazing when you consider the two of the runners in the top 5, Glock and PK Jr., have both made multiple pit stops, including drive-through penalties.
And they're still there.
And they're still up in the top 5.
Has PK Jr. still got the fastest lap, or is it Timo Glock now?
I've lost track.
I've lost track of all these fast
I think about
laps.
7 different guys have had a shot at fast lap, and it's changed hands at least 10 or 12 times. PK Jr., we are told, currently holds that championship point.
Oh, wow, wow, wow.
Hamilton's car looks very stable, and he's taking a much tighter line than Bruni.
Yeah. Bruni was really working the steering wheel
Yeah,
there.
he was, yeah. So the more he does that, the more he'll run his tyres off, the more Hamilton... It's an amazing amount of tyre roll up there, isn't it? As you just said, Bob, earlier on. These tyres, I would have thought, were pretty hard on here, because obviously Bridgestone can give them what they want.
Nine laps remaining. There's a gap 3rd to 4th. Pantano to Glock. Glock is closing rapidly on the Italian. He was 2.3 seconds behind on the previous lap, now just 1.2 seconds. And still with a shot at the podium is the German, Timo Glock. And going back to the top of the show, where our theme was Formula One veterans running in the Formula One feeder series, Bruni, Pantano, and Glock are 3 Formula One veterans, winning 1, 3, and 4, with the rising star Lewis Hamilton in 2nd.
Who is now 1.2 seconds behind Bruni, so he's lost a bit of ground. Meanwhile, Nelson Piquet Jr. back in 5th, as you said, Bob, earlier on. He had a couple of, that drive-through, as has Timo Glock.
Whoa, 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 whoa. That's Pantano. He's got problems. Tires gone off, perhaps?
Ah, and he's also got this guy in his mirror, which he's looking at.
Exactly.
That's
he was watching the mirrors when the road went right.
The road, yeah.
Well, racing in front of his countrymen, Timo Glock is gassing it. And no doubt, he's probably got at the back of his mind, where would I be if not for that pit lane speeding penalty?
Yeah.
He's only himself to blame for that.
He was 16.7 seconds off
set the pit lane speed limiter too high, probably.
Blame the mechanics. That's right, the 6 most famous words in motorsports. There was nothing I could do. Oh, Glock getting by easily. Pantano is basically a wounded duck.
Well, typically these last sort of 10 laps of this race is when these tyres really start to show themselves going off. Now 8 laps to run.
Well, of course, everybody's changed their rears, so those fronts are now starting to get...
This will be the pass. You notice PK Jr. has hove into view. Is that the past tense of hoving?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hoved.
There's PK Jr. coming up. He'll be Pantano's next problem. Alex Premat, remember, he was running back in 19th, stopped it. Oh, my goodness.
I know what you mean.
I'm sorry, Mr. Webster. Stopped for tires and has seen immediate results. He now has the fast lap of the race. And that championship point. There he is. And there are the numbers. We'll take a break. Coming up on half a dozen laps to go. The GP2 race at Hockenheim.
Back
Back at the Hockenheim ring, coming up on 5 laps to go in the GP2 opener on the German Grand Prix weekend at Hockenheim. Lewis Hamilton's pit board. I'm Bob Varsha with David Hobbs and Steve Matchett. Peter Windsor down below in the pit lane. Gianmaria Bruni leads over Lewis Hamilton, now just 0.4 of a second behind the race leader. There you see them.
And to me, Jimmy Bruni's car looks a lot less. I mean, it really does look like his handling's going away. And Lewis Hamilton's car looks very stable.
He might get a run at him. There's still time. While we're away, Giorgio Pantano's tire problems continued. He had already lost ground third to Timo Glock. And now he has lost 4th to Nelson Piquet Jr. The next man to take a shot at him would be Ernesto Vizo, but he is 8 seconds behind the Italian. We'll have to see if he has enough time.
Now then, you watch Bruni's car, and of course now Bruni's got the added nightmare of more traffic in front of him.
Cameraman having a little trouble picking up the race leader. We had mentioned that Russian Vitaly Petrov was in. He is currently running still in 15th place after starting 23rd on his first race with these cars. He is in for Olivier Pla of France.
Oh, look at that. Hamilton catching up with Bruni there. Can he get him down to turn 1? Probably not. Not a good
and he's got traffic ahead of him. No, I don't want to do that. If you stay right there, it may be handed to you shortly. Just push him into a mistake.
Well, of course, I say Bruni's got traffic, but then, of course, so's Hamilton.
Alex Premat.
You can see the rear of Bruni's car stepping out there.
Lewis Hamilton's teammate has improved his fast lap to a 24.045. And he will likely keep it to the end now. He may be waiting for this slower traffic to clear. They're going to get these guys in the next lap, and then it'll be open track and open season.
But only 3 laps to go when they get around there.
Looking around. Ooh, is he going to try him on the outside? No, he just wants to stay close. Credit the other guys.
Well, he's trying him on the outside, so he's got Bruni looking in both mirrors at once. His eyes swiveling around there like a...
He wants to get ready here for this last corner. This is where Bruni starts to run very wide at the end of the stadium section, coming onto the straight.
Wow. Petrov let the leaders go by, but he's giving Negrão no such courtesy. That's for position. Frank Pereira lets the leaders go by, and now, little lurch there from Hamilton. Once again, the leader uses more road.
Yeah, but just 3 laps to go. This is going to get interesting. Now down to this tightish turn 2.
Game is
come
on
out of turn 1.
On board with Piquet Jr. Timo Glock up ahead. Yeah, he's caught Timo Glock now for 3rd.
Wow.
He thought Glock was going to take that 3rd step on the podium in his home race, but the Brazilian
is determined to take it away from him. Boy, and if he comes 3rd and Hamilton comes 2nd, that really Hamilton's only going to pick up a couple more points, so it's going to stay pretty close at 14 points.
His mom, we think. Don't print that.
I didn't say it.
Okay. I didn't say it either. Oh, man. Piquet Jr. lurching on the brakes and a mistake in the hairpin, slight one. Didn't lose much.
And Jason Tehinchi in front of him is a lap down. He's always a bit of fun to get by.
Fun spelled P-A-I-N. Okay, Tehinchi out of the way, sort of, yes. 2 laps to go. Battle up front is Bruni and Hamilton. This is for 3rd, Glock and Piquet. Meanwhile, Alex Premat continues to tear up Hockenheim. A 23.774. I don't think we've seen anybody else in the 1 minute 23 second zones.
Well, Hamilton doesn't seem to be able to do anything about Jimmy Bruni either, does he?
I think Hamilton's missed his best lap. A couple of laps ago, we started to see Hamilton's tyres starting to go off. Bruni's been struggling for about 10. But that was Hamilton's best shot about 2 or 3 laps ago, and I think he's falling off the pace now as his tyres are giving up the ghost.
Shouldn't have waited for traffic?
Well,
yeah, Bruni's last lap was a 25.7, and Hamilton's was a 26 flat. So obviously very even Stevens there. Meanwhile, Premat on those new tyres just on a 23.7.
Race leaders are 15 seconds ahead on the road, so in just a few seconds you'll see that lap counter click to 1.
Timo Glock desperate to hold Piquet Jr. off on this last couple of laps because he wants to get on that podium.
What are we watching here? Giorgio Pantano, going backwards still, getting passed by...
Ooh.
Well, perhaps not. On board with Piquet Jr. again, yes. Oh, lock up for Glock.
But he gathers it up well.
Yeah. Meanwhile, last lap for the race leaders. Traffic on the road ahead. No, that was a different battle entirely. There is Jimmy Bruni sawing away at the wheel.
Yeah, but so is Hamilton now.
Yeah.
So
I think it's a good thing, perhaps, that they build in some roll-off on these tires so that the drivers really do have to learn how to handle a loss of grip. We may see some of this in Formula One in the future when they go to a spec Bridgestone tire beginning next year. Just a few corners left for Jimmy Bruni.
whoa! That's it.
oh, he's got
He's in the wrong gear. The gearbox broken or something? That's to
he's got
Hinchy.
big
That's not
problems.
for position.
No, as soon as he came into contact, I wonder whether or not he hit the wrong gear or couldn't change down, and that was the reason for the contact. Piquet Jr.'s transmission probably stuck in gear, and that's caused the problem.
2 turns to go for Jimmy Bruni of Italy, one of those Formula One veterans racing in GP2, and he will pick up the victory over a fast-closing Lewis Hamilton, and Timo Glock, it appears, will hang on. There's Glock in his home race, holding on for 3rd after that incident with Nelson Piquet Jr., who will unofficially finish in 4th place, followed by Giorgio Pantano, Ernesto Vizo, Adam Carroll, and Jose Maria Lopez. The top 8, they will be inverted, and Lopez will start on pole in Sunday's sprint finale. Well, there's Piquet Jr. Has he reached the finish yet? Oh, he's going to lose positions.
Oh, boy.
He has no drive. He may be coasting.
There goes Pantano.
There goes Pantano.
It looked like he got the gear at one time, didn't he, when he was just cruising around after that incident, but no.
Oh, he's not going to reach it.
He's trying to cut the corner. Oh, he shouldn't have done that, but now he's got to get that. Oh!
Now I'm going to high center here at the edge of the track.
Oh, wow.
Oh, dear, no.
That was a silly move to go into that grass like that to try and, because he's got that hill to climb to get out of it.
Oh, what a nightmare for the son of a triple world champion. 2nd in points, Nelson Piquet Jr. will not see the checkered flag.
So he's
Here it
going
is.
to
Let's have a look at this, see what happens. Now, does he lock up under... Yeah, he locks up under braking. Look, he's in the wrong gear there. That's what did it. The back end's all over the place. It's,
right.
Yeah.
Wow. Now here's a look from the onboard. Can't get slowed up enough. Then that is very. They use the paddle shifters, so it's hard to tell what gear they're in. His biggest supporter is heartbroken as the son of a world champion. Jimmy Bruni, your winner. Lewis Hamilton, 2nd, and a nice step up for his championship dreams. We'll be back. Back at Hockenheim, race winner Gianmaria Jimmy Bruni takes the top step of the podium. Time for the anthems. Perhaps an emotional victory for Gianmaria Bruni, the third of his career and second of the season. It's been a season of peaks and valleys for the Italian, a winner at San Marino, but as you pointed out, David, barely a point since then.
The only points he scored since winning this race, the long race at Imola, he dropped out of the day after a sprint race, and he's only ever scored 7 points since on bonus points for poles and fastest lap. So obviously quick, but not terribly reliable, and is that him or the Trident team? And Lewis Hamilton, on the other hand, of course, has proven to be desperately reliable, coming in second there after qualifying down in 8th. And Timo Glock, who was on the front row there, still on the podium, which of course is good in front of his home crowd. The big winner, of course, in all this is Jimmy Bruni, who jumps from 8th to 5th in the championship points. And of course, the other big winner is Hamilton, whose nearest rival, Nelson Piquet, basically dropped out on the last lap from a pretty solid 4th. Didn't score any points at all, so suddenly he's got a 22-point lead, Hamilton, going into tomorrow's sprint race.
And so now we know the starting order for tomorrow's race up front. Clivio Piccioni will start from pole with Jose Maria Lopez next to him, then Adam Carroll and Giorgio Pantano, then Ernesto Vizo and Timo Glock on row 3, and Lewis Hamilton and Jimmy Bruni on row 4. We'll take a break. Highlights coming up from Sunday's sprint finale, and we'll reassess the championship with 3 weekends still to go. Welcome back to the Hockenheim ring, where Gianmaria Bruni is celebrating victory in Saturday's opening event of the GP2 weekend. Let's take a look at the results. David, Steve?
Jimmy Bruni with his second Saturday race win of the year. Lewis Hamilton coming second from 8th on the grid. Timo Glock and Ernesto Vizo, teammate, close together there. Pantano slipped back a little bit. Adam Carroll, Jose Maria Lopez, Clivio Piccioni, and Michael Ammuler coming 9th there from 19th on the grid. Good run in the Arden car.
And a good run, really, from Nelson Piquet Jr., but finally classified 13th because of transmission problems on the last lap.
Which was pretty hard on him. Alex Premat, Hamilton's teammate, coming down there 19th. He didn't have a good day at all.
And with that, the top 8 were inverted to start Sunday's short event. Ferrari driver Felipe Massa congratulating GP2 team owner Giancarlo Fisichella. At the start, Clivio Piccioni on pole. Timo Glock, the big mover, from 6th to 4th, passing Ernesto Vizo and Adam Carroll.
But turn 1 getting its usual category of crashes here. A wing losing somewhere there. Vitali, Frank Pereira and Luca Filippi run wide. Piccioni holding off Jose Maria Lopez and Giorgio Pantano until bang! Pantano clips Piccioni at the hairpin.
Oh boy. Well, let's have another look at that incident between Piccioni and Pantano. Meanwhile, Lewis Hamilton gets by Giorgio Pantano for 3rd place. A little bit of off-on action. Nelson Piquet's junior nightmare weekend continues, failing to finish the first race and didn't start the second race.
Down at the tight left-hander there, Yoshimoto in the red car and Premat come together. Yoshimoto pushing into the side there of Premat's car. A little bit difficult. They were mixed up with the traffic. Yoshimoto leaps out and shouting and gesticulating to each other, probably both speaking broken English at this stage as the common language of racing.
Racing drivers never get into arguments, do they? Final lap now. Timo Glock passes race-long leader Jose Maria Lopez, who had to be kicking himself for falling to that one. Glock going on to take the checkered flag for his 2nd victory of the year. And, of course, it's never better than when you do it in your home race. So congratulations to Timo Glock on that last gasp victory.
And there you see it. Jose Maria Lopez comes 2nd, much as discussed. Hamilton coming in 3rd, nice for him. Viso. Giorgio Pantano ending up 5th after a fairly accident-strewed race. Jimmy Bruni was on pole yesterday. Nicolas Lapierre making a good run too today.
A little bit further down the list there, Luca Filippi and the BCN car in 16th.
Vitaly Petrov, the Russian, with 2 15th place finishes on his first weekend. The first weekend he ever sat in a GP2 car. Not a bad job.
Boy, look at those points now. Lewis Hamilton 82 to Nelson Piquet Jr.'s 56. Alex Premat climbing up there with 49. Timo Glock 40 on the move there. Ernesto Vizo, his teammate, not far behind him. Then Jimmy Bruni, pole sitter yesterday. Jose Maria Lopez, who wishes he had a couple more points, and Amma Mueller still in the points there.
And there you see the rest of the Drivers' Championship with 3 more double race weekends to come. Here's a look at the team chase.
ART Grand Prix, number 1, 131 points on the board. iSport International 74. PK Sports, horrible weekend for PK Sports, certainly for PK Junior. Still in third position on 64 points in the team championship.
And if this weekend proved anything, it's that anything can and likely will happen between now and the end of the season. That'll wrap things up for the feature event and the entire GP2 weekend from the Hockenheim ring in Germany. But don't touch that remote. Live coverage of the Formula One German Grand Prix from this great racetrack is coming up next. So for the moment, for David Hobbs, Steve Matchett, and Peter Windsor, I'm Bob Barsha. Stay tuned. GP2 is done. It's time for the Formula One cars. The German Grand Prix from the Hockenheim ring starts right now.